In a historic and unprecedented moment for the Catholic Church, Cardinal Robert Prevost, an American by birth but a global pastor by mission, has been elected the first ever American-born pope, taking the name Pope Leo XIV. His selection marks a dramatic turning point in the Church's 2,000-year history, not just for his nationality but for what his leadership represents, a renewed focus on social justice, unity, and global inclusion. With deep roots in Latin America, a reputation for humility, and a heart for the marginalized, Pope Leo XIV's elevation signals a papacy ready to bridge divides, defend the vulnerable, and guide the Church through an era of great moral and social complexity. The speed of his election and the global outpouring of celebration speak volumes. This is a leader chosen not only by the College of Cardinals but welcomed with hope by millions around the world. Here are 10 remarkable facts about Pope Leo XIV, the first American Pope. Number 1. First ever American Pope in 2,000 years. In a groundbreaking moment for the Catholic Church, Cardinal Robert Prevost was elected the 267th pontiff, making history as the first American-born pope in over 2 millennia of papal tradition. This monumental choice reflects the global nature of the Church today, recognizing the significant growth and influence of Catholicism outside of Europe, especially in the Americas. Born in the United States, Pope Leo XIV's ascension to the papacy signals a symbolic shift toward a more international, diverse, and inclusive church leadership. Though American by birth, his pastoral journey was deeply rooted in Latin America, where he spent nearly 40 years ministering to underserved populations in Peru, notably in Chiclayo, a region marked by poverty and social inequality. His American heritage, combined with decades of on-the-ground experience in the global South, gives him a unique perspective on the challenges of both developed and developing nations. His election is not just a milestone for the U.S. Catholic community, but also an affirmation of the Church's evolving global presence, recognizing that spiritual leadership can and should emerge from every corner of the world. It's a powerful message of inclusivity and unity for a Church navigating complex 21st-century realities. Number 2. Takes the name of Pope Leo XIV with purpose. Pope Leo XIV's choice of name is deeply symbolic and rooted in theological and historical significance. By selecting the name Leo XIV, he invokes the legacy of Pope Leo XIII, 1878 to 1903, one of the most transformative popes of the modern era. Leo XIII is best known for his landmark 1891 encyclical Rerum Novarum, which laid the foundation for modern Catholic social teaching. That document acknowledged the realities of the Industrial Revolution and promoted the rights of workers to fair wages, safe conditions, and unionization, a bold stance at the time. By aligning himself with this legacy, Pope Leo XIV appears to be signaling a renewed focus on social justice, labor rights, and ethical governance. In a world grappling with inequality, economic exploitation, and climate crises, his papal name suggests that he intends to champion the causes of the poor, the marginalized, and the working class, just as Leo XIII did more than a century ago. Furthermore, Pope Leo XIII marked a shift away from aristocratic alignment toward a church more attuned to the plight of ordinary people. Pope Leo XIV's background, serving in impoverished communities and breaking barriers as an American pope, mirrors this mission. His choice of name is not only a tribute but also a declaration. This papacy will be grounded in the principles of peace, justice, and bridge building across societal divides. Number 3. Peace at the center of his first address. Pope Leo XIV's papacy began with a powerful and unifying message of peace. Stepping onto the loggia of St. Peter's Basilica for the first time as pontiff, he greeted the sea of faithful and millions watching worldwide with the simple but profound words, "Peace be with all of you." This biblical phrase set the tone not just for the moment, but for the values his leadership will uphold: non-violence, hope, and divine trust. His address underscored a church that must be both a moral voice and a global peacemaker in troubled times. He declared, "Evil will not prevail, we are in the hands of God," a resolute reminder in a world increasingly marked by war, disinformation, and polarization. The speech also included calls for disarmament and global unity, indicating that Pope Leo intends to position the Church as a proactive player in international diplomacy and peacebuilding. These themes are not just rhetorical flourishes. They reflect a deeply held belief in the Church's duty to act as a beacon of reconciliation, one that builds bridges, welcomes all, and actively works toward the betterment of humanity. His opening words mark a papacy rooted in hope, courage, and moral clarity in the face of global uncertainty. Number 4. Echoes of Pope Francis. In a heartfelt nod to continuity and shared vision, Pope Leo XIV used his first appearance to thank his predecessor. "Thank you, Pope Francis." This public acknowledgement signals a strong ideological and spiritual alignment between the two pontiffs. Francis, known for his focus on humility, mercy, and social justice, appears to have deeply influenced Pope Leo, not just in words, but in pastoral approach and worldview. Much like Francis, Pope Leo XIV is admired for his humble demeanor and connection to the grassroots church. Reports from Latin America highlight that during his decades of ministry in Peru, he would regularly share simple meals with local priests and spend time in impoverished communities, deeply involved in the lives of everyday people. His time as Archbishop of Chiclayo, one of Peru's most economically challenged regions, reflects a deep commitment to the marginalized and voiceless. He also shares Francis's vision of a missionary church that is inclusive, outward-facing, and unafraid to engage the world's pain and complexity. His early calls for peace, inclusion, and bridge-building echo Francis's values but come with a renewed energy that blends pastoral compassion with bold advocacy. In many ways, Pope Leo XIV appears poised to continue and deepen the reforms started by Pope Francis, offering both continuity and renewal. Number 5. A missionary spirit. Pope Leo XIV has launched his papacy with a clear call for a missionary church, a vision that breathes new life into the Church's role in the modern world. By describing a church that builds bridges and is always open to welcome everyone, the Pope is signaling a shift toward radical inclusivity, dialogue, and outreach. His emphasis isn't just about spreading the faith, but about living the gospel through acts of compassion, justice, and human solidarity. This missionary spirit challenges the Church to move beyond the confines of its institutions and into the margins of society, to the homeless, the refugees, the disillusioned youth, and those alienated by politics, poverty, or prejudice. It's about embracing the wounded and the excluded, not just spiritually, but socially and economically. Under Pope Leo XIV, the Church is being urged to serve as a bridge, not a barrier, between peoples, faiths, and ideologies. His inclusive tone resonates with today's global realities: political polarization, mass migration, environmental crises, and rising inequality. Rather than retreat inward, he is advocating for a church that dares to walk alongside suffering humanity, offering healing, dignity, and hope. Number 6. Career shaped in Latin America. While Pope Leo XIV was born in the United States, his priestly heart and pastoral experience were shaped in the soil of Latin America. For over 4 decades, he served in Peru, dedicating his life to walking alongside the poor, the disenfranchised, and the spiritually hungry. This immersive, long-term ministry grounded him in real-world challenges far removed from the comforts of wealth and power. He spent years ministering in remote and impoverished areas, where basic infrastructure was lacking and economic hardship was severe. As Archbishop of Chiclayo, one of Peru's poorest and most overlooked regions, he championed the needs of everyday people. Supporting community development, listening to their struggles, and defending their dignity. His leadership was marked by a deep solidarity with the marginalized, echoing the Church's call to be a field hospital for the wounded, as Pope Francis often described. Later, he brought his grounded wisdom and pastoral experience to Rome, where he led the Vatican's powerful office of bishops, a role that shaped how church leadership is appointed and guided globally. This combination of grassroots service and institutional oversight makes Pope Leo XIV uniquely positioned to bridge the local and the global, the pastoral and the doctrinal. Number 7. Chosen quickly with a clear mandate. The speed of Pope Leo XIV's election was striking. The conclave lasted just 2 days, an unusually swift decision by Vatican standards, indicating a strong and unified backing among the College of Cardinals. With at least 89 out of 133 cardinals voting in his favor, it was clear that Cardinal Robert Prevost had garnered broad confidence as the one to lead the Church into a new chapter. Such a quick consensus sends a powerful message: the cardinals were not divided or indecisive, but firmly aligned in their choice. It suggests that Pope Leo XIV's track record, his humility, global experience, and dedication to social justice resonated deeply with the Church's leadership. His blend of pastoral compassion and organizational competence likely inspired the cardinals to rally behind him without hesitation. This kind of clarity reflects not just admiration, but a shared sense of urgency and direction for the Church's future. The world is facing complex crises: war, inequality, ecological threats, and the Church needs a voice of moral clarity. The rapid election of Pope Leo XIV affirms that he is seen as a unifier, a healer, and a bridge builder ready to confront these challenges head-on. Number 8. Global celebration of his election. The moment the white smoke billowed from the Sistine Chapel chimney, the atmosphere in St. Peter's Square transformed. What had been a scene of quiet anticipation exploded into joyous celebration. Tens of thousands of people who had gathered, some with camping chairs, books, and snacks in tow, erupted in cheers, tears, and prayers. Viva Illinois Papa, the crowd shouted with emotion, chanting the traditional greeting, "Long live the Pope." Priests made the sign of the cross, nuns wept, and children were lifted onto shoulders to glimpse the historic moment. The scene, according to reporters, was akin to the fever-pitched excitement of a World Cup final. A rare comparison in Vatican life, underscoring the emotional gravity and global hope ignited by the announcement. As the cardinal appeared from the loggia above St. Peter's Basilica and declared Habemus Papam, "We have a pope," the entire world paused to hear the name of the new spiritual leader of over 1.3 billion Catholics. When it was announced that he had chosen the name Leo XIV, many immediately drew connections to a legacy of social reform and worker advocacy, heightening the sense of hope and anticipation. Across continents, world leaders, faith communities, and ordinary people offered congratulations and prayers. The election of the first-ever American pope, and one with deep Latin American roots, felt to many like a bridge between worlds, a fresh chapter not just for the Vatican, but for global Catholicism. Number 9. Symbolic white smoke and bells. At precisely 6:07 p.m. Vatican time, the age-old ritual unfolded before a breathless crowd. From the chimney atop the Sistine Chapel, a plume of white smoke emerged, thick, unmistakable, and carrying with it a message of monumental importance: a new pope had been elected. Almost simultaneously, the bells of St. Peter's Basilica rang out, their joyful peals cascading over the square and beyond the Vatican walls. For many gathered in St. Peter's Square, it was a deeply emotional moment, a sacred signal affirming the continuity of a 2,000-year-old tradition. Flags waved, strangers embraced, and camera phones lit up the twilight as the world watched history unfold. Then came the words that Catholics across the globe had been waiting to hear: Habemus Papam. We have a pope. Delivered from the central balcony of the Basilica, the announcement ignited a roar from the crowd. The name chosen, Leo XIV, resonated instantly, invoking the legacy of Pope Leo XIII, a champion of the working class and moral clarity in modern times. It was a moment rich in symbolism and spiritual weight, capturing the timeless unity of tradition and the hope of renewal that accompanies each new papacy. Number 10. Advocate for the poor and disenfranchised. From his earliest days in ministry, Pope Leo XIV has been known not as a cleric of prestige but a priest of the people. His humility is not performative, it's deeply embedded in his daily life. According to those who have worked with him, he has long eschewed luxury and formality, famously sharing breakfast each morning with ordinary priests in community dining halls rather than private quarters. This sense of shared life extends beyond the Vatican. During his decades in Peru, he lived among the people he served, walking dirt roads, visiting villages, and advocating fiercely for those left on the margins. Especially indigenous populations, rural farmers, and urban poor. Now, as Pope, he is expected to bring that same urgency and compassion to the global stage. With his background steeped in Latin American liberation theology, Pope Leo XIV is already being seen as a voice for poverty alleviation, just wages, environmental justice, and fair resource distribution, especially for the global South, where inequality is most severe and the Church often plays a lifeline role. In a world facing widening economic divides, climate disruption, and refugee crises, Pope Leo XIV's deep-rooted advocacy for the poor positions him as a global moral compass, a leader who sees the gospel not just as a spiritual guide, but as a call to action for justice and human dignity. As white smoke cleared and the bells of St. Peter's rang out, a new chapter began for the Catholic Church, one rooted in service, solidarity, and global outreach. Pope Leo XIV steps into the papacy at a moment when the world is yearning for moral clarity and compassionate leadership. His commitment to peace, economic justice, and inclusion reflects both a continuation of Pope Francis's legacy and a bold step forward in his own right. Whether advocating for the poor, calling for a missionary church, or urging global unity, Pope Leo XIV embodies the Church's mission in action. His election is more than symbolic, it is a spiritual signal that the Church is ready to walk courageously into the future with humility, vision, and a heart turned outward to the world. Thanks for tuning into Sacred Pulse Times, where faith meets clarity in times of change. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. And remember, stay informed, stay prayerful, and stay connected to the pulse of the body of Christ.